Welcome to HMIS 104 Part A, ShelterPoint for Singles. I am your trainer, HMIS Program Specialist, Shantae Smith. During this training, we will be working through the ShelterPoint module within ServicePoint. This module is specific to those projects who want to track their daily bed utilization. We will go through the steps of checking clients who enter your project in and out of a bed. We will also work through some examples and a possible scenario that may occur. Please note that if you have any questions, to contact us at the HMIS Help Desk via email at hmissupport@cir.org or by phone or text at 602-908-3605. Thank you, and let's get started. Once you log into the system, go to the left side of your screen to the menu and locate the ShelterPoint button. Once you click it, the ShelterPoint dashboard page will appear. You will see a header that says View Shelter Inventory. Beneath that header, you will see your provider listed, and underneath that provider, you will see a drop-down list titled Unit List. Please keep in mind that your provider may have multiple unit lists available. You will select the appropriate list you wish to view and click the Submit button to the right of the Unit List option. The ShelterPoint dashboard provides different options of which you can use to check a client into your project, as well as other tools to help manage your project's shelter inventory. The Check Client In button is used when you are ready to check your client into a bed at your project. The Check-In Reservation button is used when you have a client that has reserved a bed space at your project. You are able to reserve a bed for them until they arrive. Some projects will not have this feature available. It is a custom setup, and for that you will need to send an inquiry to the HMIS Help Desk at hmissupport@cir.org. The Check-In Referral button is used when a client has been referred to your agency through ServicePoint by another agency. The Hold All Empty Beds button is used very rarely. Your project has the ability to place a hold on all empty beds for a certain amount of time. The Print ID Cards button is also rarely used. By using this button, you are able to print ID cards for your clients. The ID cards would then be scanned using specific equipment in order to track specific services provided. This option requires a customized training. If your agency is interested in utilizing this option, please send inquiries to the HMIS Help Desk at hmissupport@cir.org. The Update Confirmation List button is also rarely used. It is a feature that aids in confirming the individuals checked into your project shelter inventory. The Transmit Today's Checkout List button is used for shelter projects who do mass checkouts daily. Within this feature, you are able to check out selected clients all at once. The View All button is used when you wish to view the entire shelter inventory list. Now return to the home screen to work through an example of checking a client into a bed using the Check Client In button. A client has presented to my project for shelter. He has been accepted, and it is my responsibility to check them into a bed. To review how to get to your ShelterPoint dashboard, repeat the following steps. Go to the left side of your screen to the menu and locate the ShelterPoint button. Once you click it, the ShelterPoint dashboard page will appear. You will see a header that says View Shelter Inventory. Beneath that header, you will see your provider listed, and underneath that provider, you will see a drop-down list titled Unit List. Please keep in mind that your provider may have multiple unit lists available. You will select the appropriate list you wish to view and click the Submit button to the right of the Unit List option. Next, locate the Check Client In button. Once I click that button, the screen will change to reflect my shelter inventory information. A current bed list will show on the screen. If a bed is open and not occupied, you will see on the left side of the screen a green circle with a plus sign. And on that same line, you will see to the right of your screen, it will say empty. To check the client into a bed, you will click on the green circle with the plus sign, or you can click on the empty link. When you do, your screen will change to reflect the client search option. You are able to search for your client that is to be checked into this bed by their name or by their designated HMIS client ID. Since I know my client's ID number, I will type it in and click Submit. You are unable to be in backdate mode while working in the ShelterPoint module. Because of this, you must, I repeat, you must make sure the date in is the actual date your client began to occupy that bed. You must manually change it yourself. As a special note, for those projects that check a client into a bed and then go to create an entry into your project, the date in must match the same day they entered your project. When you've changed the date to reflect the correct data, you will review all of the information on your screen to make sure it is correct. Then look towards the bottom of your screen to click the Save and Exit button. You will then be returned to your shelter inventory information page. As another side note, when you check a client into a bed at your project, a service of shelter stay will automatically be created. To view the shelter stay, you can click on your client's name so the unit stay entry data screen appears. Next, you will locate the Jump to Profile button located at the bottom left-hand side and click it. A warning box will appear asking if you want to leave the unit stay entry data screen to go to the client's profile. This is where you will choose Yes. You will be directed to your client's profile. From there, click on the Service Transactions tab to be directed to the Service Transactions dashboard. Locate the button that says View Shelter Stays and click it. Your screen will then direct you to your client's shelter stay history. At this point, you may return back to ShelterPoint. As another quick note, in the event that you accidentally checked the wrong client into a bed, there is an easy fix. You will go to your shelter's current unit list and then click on the client's name. Once you do, the unit stay entry data screen will appear and you will look to the bottom for the button that says Delete this shelter stay, and then click it. A warning box will appear asking if you want to delete this shelter stay, and then you will click Delete. If you run into an issue like this, please don't hesitate to contact the HMIS support team at the HMIS Help Desk. We will assist you in correcting the mistake. Now please return to the home screen to work through an example of checking a client into a bed using the View All button. To review how to get to your ShelterPoint dashboard, repeat the following steps. Go to the left side of your screen to the menu and locate the ShelterPoint button. Once you click it, the ShelterPoint dashboard page will appear. You will see a header that says View Shelter Inventory, and beneath that header you will see your provider listed. And underneath the provider you will see the drop-down list titled Unit List. Please keep in mind that your provider may have multiple unit lists available. You will select the appropriate list you wish to view and click the Submit button to the right of the Unit List option. Since I'm unaware of current available beds in my project, I will select the View All button to see my project's entire bed list. Once I click that button, the screen will change to reflect my shelter inventory information, and a current bed list will now show. Once I have viewed the list for availability, I will select an open bed to check my client into using the same steps we just worked through. Now you can return to the home screen to work through the next example. When you are ready to check your client out of a bed that they were assigned to, you will repeat all the same steps to get yourself to your shelter inventory information page. You will then locate the client you are trying to exit and look for the red circle with the minus sign to the left side of the page. You will click that circle and it will direct you to the Unit Exit Data screen. And just like on the entry, you must make sure the date out is the correct date your client was checked out of that bed. You will then verify that all of the information listed on the page is correct and scroll to the bottom and click Save and Exit. You will again be redirected to your shelter inventory information page to show the most current data. Now, you may return to your home screen. Since we've now worked through how to properly enter and exit a client from a bed, let's work through a possible scenario. For example, if a client was checked into a bed number 3 when they first came into project, but something happened and they needed to be moved into another bed, we would need to reflect that change in the system. To do that, you will repeat all the steps as before to get yourself to your shelter inventory information page. You will then locate the client you wish to move and click on their name, the hyperlink, and it will direct you to their unit entry data screen. Underneath the date in, you will see the unit name number field. On that same line, to the right of your screen, you will see a button that says Assign Unit. Once you click it, a little box will pop up on your screen with your project's name and then Bed List. You will use the drop-down menu to select the appropriate bed you wish to move your client into and then click the button that says Select. After clicking the Select button, you will notice the change on their unit entry screen that shows the new unit number, meaning your client no longer occupies bed number 3. Your client now occupies bed number 12. Once you've changed the client's unit number, please keep in mind that you are not to change the date in. This date in is associated to the day they began occupying a bed within your project. If you change the date in to the date they began occupying this new bed, you will lose the bed unit data prior to this. Just to reiterate, do not change the date in listed on the unit data screen if your client has switched beds. Leave it at the original date listed. Then, as always, you will review the information on your screen to make sure it is all correct, and then go to the bottom of the page and click Save and Exit. You will automatically be redirected to your ShelterPoint inventory to show the most current data. At this point, you may now return to your home screen. To reiterate a few key points, let's take a moment to look over the summary. Your shelter project may use multiple bed lists. Please make sure you have selected the correct one prior to checking a client into a bed. Also, not all buttons on the ShelterPoint inventory are used. You are able to check a client into the bed using the Check Client In button or the View All button. The View All button is where you're able to view your shelter's entire inventory list. Also, remember, when checking a client into a bed, you are unable to be in backdate mode. please be sure that the date in matches the actual date the client began to occupy the bed. If a client switches beds, you do not update the date in field. And lastly, once a client has been checked into a bed, a service of shelter stay is automatically created in the background. To view the client's past shelter stays, you will go to the service transaction dashboard on the client's record. By following these steps and working through the examples and a scenario, you have completed the training video on HMIS 104 Part A, ShelterPoint for Singles. As a reminder, if you have any questions, feel free to contact us at the HMIS Help Desk via email at hmisupport@cir.org or by phone or text at 602-908-3605. Thank you, and please refer back to your training confirmation email for further instructions.